Okay, so this is Chad Young, and this is my week 2 multimedia discussion for MPA 594. I'm going to be doing this on public sector unions. It's something that I've thought a lot about over the years, and I thought this was a great chance to talk about it. So obviously, especially not so much right now, obviously, but in the recent past, there's a lot of discussions about public sector unions. A lot of it's still going on, of course, but it's not the primary thing on the television right now. I am still a public sector. I'm in a public sector union, SEIU. I have pretty much been in that union ever since I started at the County of Riverside 15 years ago. My opinions on unions have shifted over the years, but I've really come back to the idea that they are still relevant. Certainly there's plenty of opinions out there about efficiency or, how, as displayed in all of these cartoons, there are a lot of problems. But where I usually end up coming back to, and from my own experience really, is Wilson's dichotomy. It's that there needs to be a separation between the political side of things as well as the administrative side of things. And that's a balance. It's not always easy to achieve. In my previous role as an ecological resource specialist, it was not uncommon for the board of supervisors, maybe one of their aides or somebody to come down and try to basically encourage me to do something that was oftentimes borderline and unethical. And the political forces were such that, they wanted us to do things that were not always kosher. So, the one thing I could always fall back on when I was still, wavering on, am I going to get fired if I don't do this? It was nice to know that I at least could fall back on the union. Now, it is by no means a perfect parachute. There's plenty of people who've been left out to dry in that scenario, but generally speaking, if you've got a valid complaint, and if you're being, if somebody's trying to strong arm you into doing something that is just flat out unethical, typically the unions will have your back, and that is something I think that is a very important role they play, is to help give public sector employees the power to say no to power, basically. Mary Parker Follett and her thoughts on how the employee-employer partnership should work really also contribute to my ideas on why public sector unions are still relevant. Again, whether or not you agree that many can agree that some unions have way more power than they should, or too much leverage over how government conducts its business. However, with no power, employees are unable to make things better. A lot of times employees have the knowledge and the experience to know what kind of changes need to be made in government in order to make it run more efficiently or fairly, or whatever that goal may be. A lot of times, management on up does not have that perspective. Giving them a little more voice, which is something that the unions do, is important. Now, there may be other mechanisms for giving employees a voice in how the government is run, but right now that is the primary one, is through public sector unions. Thank you all for listening to my week 2 multimedia discussion presentation, and I will see you next week.